All right, it's 3 p.m., so we will call the agenda and priorities meeting for January 19th, 2026 to order, please. And can I have Councillor Heistad give the land acknowledgement?
Thanks for the reminder, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Wing. The town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7, the ancestral and traditional treaty of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Kainai, Piikani, and Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, moving on. CEO Becker, any additions or deletions?
There's not.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion, please, then, to adopt the agenda as presented? Councillor Heistad?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. All right. Updates from administration. Let's move on to 3.1, the advocacy plan, and over to CEO Becker.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Hello, Council. So this report is considered information for today, and hoping Council can recognize the relevance of the document and get you thinking as you move into your strat planning, potential advocacy priorities to be determined. So as the report states, there is an attached report to the initial cover dated August 26, 2024. Council, as part of their strategic priorities through leadership, commitments, direct administration, come back with an advocacy framework, which is attached to that report. As you can see, as of September 21st, 2023, the advocacy priorities developed through a workshop format was the funding for culture and recreation facilities, as well as the Varma waste energy projects. The report does not include, the cover report does not include some of the actions associated with the advocacy, but I can verbalize some of those advocacy efforts. So the advocacy in relation to recreation funding, you may have heard that Council did develop a resolution for AV Munis Convention, which was defeated by the membership a few years ago. A supplementary sort of a resolution was approved this last convention, but Council presented stating we need some work in relation to recreation funding. There's also engagement with, of course, the MLA and associate ministers, as well as Red Deer County. There's also discussion with the Alberta Recreation Parks Association on some of the research associated with the struggle to seek municipal funding. There may be other items of thought and consideration from Mayor and councillors that were part of that advocacy, but that kind of gives you an idea of the efforts associated with that priority. The Varma waste to energy priority, some of the actions associated there was extensive municipal engagements from the Central Alberta core down to even the City of Calgary. Again, face-to-face with the appropriate ministers. There was also an effort through public education, through engagement through Varma with the community, and also with directly Varma to local business too. And also, I believe, Red Deer Polytechnic. So again, it kind of gives you the idea to set a plan, action plan associated with your advocacy priorities once you establish them, and start chipping away and create action. So again, FYI for council, if there's any questions of the intent and some of the action, it's just for your information for today.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I ask somebody to make the recommended motion, please, and then we'll ask for comments and feedback. Councillor McKellar.
Deputy Mayor Wing, I'll move that council receives the Town of Innisfail Advocacy Plan report as information.
Thank you, Councillor McKellar. All right, any comments or questions for CEO Becker? No? So we will plan then that this will come back after we have our strategic plan finalized, and we can add to or take off as we choose.
Definitely, Deputy Mayor, once your strat plan is reviewed by council, you start thinking now and having some conversation, but the intent is to come back to you after the plan is approved by council.
Perfect, thank you very much. All right, then we'll call the question. Is everyone in favor? And that motion is carried, thank you. All right. Next, draft council meetings delegation policy. Over to CAO Becker.
I'll sign that over to the director, please.
Thanks, Director.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor Wing and Council. So I do have before you a draft council meeting delegation policy before you for consideration. So from time to time, the town does receive requests from members of the public who wish to formally appear before council. And so while the council procedure bylaw does establish council's authority, as well as the general delegation process, it doesn't provide any of that detailed guidance to the public on eligibility, timeline, screening criteria, or expectations for conduct. As a result, sometimes there has been some uncertainty for applicants to apply as a delegate, and has also created some limited liability, ability for administration to defer or decline certain requests if needed. So this draft policy is intended to address that gap. Its purpose is to establish a clear, fair, and consistent framework for when and how members of the public may address council as a formal delegation, while supporting respectful and orderly council meetings. It doesn't change council's authority, but it just builds on the existing procedure bylaw by clearly outlining how the delegation process works. So the policy confirms that members of the public are always welcome to attend council meetings as observers. However, speaking at a council meeting is not an automatic right and does require approval through the delegation process. Delegations are intended to provide information to council on matters within its jurisdiction, but it's not intended to serve as a forum for debate, advertising of their own personal business or event. It is not intended to have a question and answer period or any decision making during that moment. So any individual or group wishing to address council must submit that written request to the CAO on noon the Wednesday prior to the council meeting they wish to attend to. Requests must clearly identify the speaker, the topic, the purpose of the presentation, and include any supporting materials they may have. This will ensure that council, as well as administration, has adequate information in advance and allows us all to prepare accordingly. Delegation requests are reviewed by the CAO in accordance with the council procedure bylaw. Requests to move forward they do move forward when the subject matter falls within council's roles and relates to governance, policy, or council decision-making, and when the issue is appropriate for council consideration rather than just a simple administrative or operational matter. The delegation process is intended to support council's role in setting direction, but not to resolve any of those kind of day-to-day administrative issues. So where they won't proceed forward is when the matter falls directly within administration's authority and it's more appropriately addressed through administrative or operational processes such as an employee-led report to council. This can also include service delivery, enforcement matters, or even some internal administrative decisions. Requests may also be declined when the issue is outside of council's jurisdiction, such as like another government's decision making. If it's subject to a different type of appeal process through another policy or bylaw. If this is a repetitive request, this policy now allows the CAO to kind of stop those repetitive nature requests. And also if the CAO would find that there could be some issues or concerns related to safety or decorum within the council chambers, this policy does allow the CAO to kind of cancel those or refer those back. And decisions regarding delegation requests are final and are not subject to any appeal process. They are scheduled on the agenda under the delegation separate heading and are limited to a maximum of 10 minutes. And during that time, delegations are expected to address remarks through the chair, either the mayor or the deputy mayor of the time. They are to remain on topic and conduct themselves respectfully. The chair retains the authority to interrupt or conclude a delegation where necessary to maintain orderly proceedings. So I'll take any questions council may have, but if council agree, administration will bring this policy back at the next council meeting for formal approval.
Thank you, Director Vickers. Can I please have a motion, the recommended motion, please, and then we can discuss? Councillor Russell?
Okay, thanks, Deputy Mayor Wing. I'll make the motion that council accepts the council meeting delegations policy report as information.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, you have a question?
And I have a question.
Go for it.
On section 10B, I certainly agree that it should fall on the CAO to determine whether it's something that should come before council. Curious, I ask this question because I'm curious, how often do you feel that a delegation would be denied for one of those reasons? And would it be unreasonable, just under your report that you give us, to just make us aware that there was a delegation request, but it was denied for this reason? So if that could be added as an 8 under there, that you would update council on any rejected or ones that are there.
Deputy Mayor to Councillor Russell, I think that's a fair request. My experience demonstrates that council likes to know if there's a denial of delegation. Often comes back to you in a different form.
Right.
So it's best that you're informed through the CAO's reporting if anywhere.
So my recommendation would be that be added as an 8, that you would report to council.
Thank you. Councillor Heistad?
Deputy Mayor to CEO Becker, I was just wondering if we had a clear strategy communicating this out to the public as to, making sure that the awareness of this policy and how we can best inform the community of this update. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor to Councillor Heistad, you go through the voice as per typical information. Are you seeing something a little bit larger public notification on this policy? Otherwise, it'd be informed when a delegation inquires about becoming a delegate. We would certainly provide that guidance then. Certainly looking for your advice if you wish to expand on that.
For myself, I know that one of the conversation or the discussion that we've had around this table is communication to the public. How I believe that looking at this policy and looking at future policies, it may be what I'd like to do in my role, working alongside my councillors, is making sure that we have a clear outline of how we get the information across. I know that we have the voice, we do press releases. It's just I think formalizing this in many ways with the policies that are coming out. I think at times the communication with the public may be missed in the voice or how we communicate through our local media, how to best represent ourselves and making sure that the detail is out there in the public. So, no, I appreciate your comments and I just thought I'd ask the question. Thank you.
So Deputy Mayor to Councillor Heistad, so this policy, no extra engagement or communication, are the expectations?
Nope. No expectations on that today. I just thought I'd ask the question and then seek clarity from yourself and fine tune my deliberation with our CAO. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Councillor Russell. All in favor? Carried. All right. Next, we have the 2025 development update. So over to Director Jenkins, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So this is just our annual update on a summary of 2025 building permit and land development activity. So in 2025, the town issued 135 building permits for a total value of 24.6 million. There were 8 new detached dwellings and 35 multi-unit dwellings being approved. 27 of those 35 being the reestablishment of units at the Westwood apartment building, or Westview apartment building. The Aquatic Center is a major factor in the total permit value increase, though we do continue to see strong numbers. With the attachment, that's why we always include sort of the graph that's in the middle of the page. It's the permit values excluding any institutional permits that are pulled, just sort of normalizes the data to remove large projects like municipal or school division projects that can really bump up an individual year. So that's where we're at. So we are showing it down a bit from 2024, but continue to see some big projects. On the industrial side, we see the $2 million installation of the offices at Deep Sky and the $1.5 million seed cleaning plant as well. So we have the 11.4 million is the pool, and then 1.7 million is the ambulance bay extension at the hospital. So there were those two large institutional permits there. On the land development activity front, council's relatively aware, we're sitting at around that 35 available residential lots, with them primarily being available within our new Napoleon South area, Bella Vista, and then 4 remaining in Malibu, or in Hazelwood. And at this time, we don't have any current applications for additional or new phases in any of those development areas. Just for council's information, we typically provide sort of the year-end summary as well as a mid-year update to council with these numbers. I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Director. Can I have somebody please make the recommended motion? Councillor Hill?
Yes, Deputy Mayor, I'll make the recommended motion that council accepts this report as information.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or feedback? All right, then, I'll call the question. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thanks, Director. And then back over to Director Jenkins for an Aquatic Center update.
All right, so just providing our January update on the Aquatic Center project. Again, progress continues. Lots of changes happening every week now over at the Aquatic Center. Current work includes the exterior insulation in preparation for final cladding, the construction of the new Whirlpool mechanical room, as well as the concrete forming for the new Whirlpool, and painting and tile installation has started. So yeah, primary next steps will be that Whirlpool installation, exterior cladding, the pool mechanical systems themselves, so the new piping and pumps and filters, as well as the tile work throughout the facility. Again, the project remains on time and within the budget. Advertising for staff hiring, rehiring will commence this week or next week. Reopening date has not been finalized. However, staff will begin training about 3 weeks prior to opening day. At this point, April is the planned reopen. So.
All right, thank you for that. Can I have a motion, please, then, that council accept the report for information? Go for it.
I'll make the motion that council accepts this report as information.
Thank you, Councillor Strong. Do we have any questions for the director? Any comments? TikTok, like the months just seem to be going by so fast. It seems so far away, and now it's
like,
just a couple months away, so
yeah.
That's good work. Councillor McKellar.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Wing through to Director Jenkins. Have we heard anything else on the grants associated with the pool? And
We do not have any further information at this
any
point.
clarification on that FMC?
No, nothing,
Okay.
nothing to date.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? We'll call the question then. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Thank you. All right. On to the good stuff. Over to Director Leith, please, for the Community Standards Bylaw overview.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. So the purpose of this verbal report is to give certainly some background on some changes that occurred to my department in Council's last term that new Council members may not be aware of, and also just to give an overview of our Community Standards Bylaw, and after this the Traffic Bylaw, just a summary which hopefully will attract some questions. So last term in 2024, a business case was submitted to council for an additional peace officer position. That was supported by council, and some of that position and business case was supported by a shared service agreement with the town of Penhold from 2024 through to the back end of last year. And that was a 50-50 share on that position, so spread the costs over those two budget terms. We have had some additional staff changes within those periods, and the business case came forward as a result of community safety surveys, and also as a result of some of the interactions for the community safety and wellbeing plan, which highlighted certain areas within the community that were causing greater demands upon municipal enforcement and RCMP, some of which council will be aware of in respect to Centennial Park, some issues there, and also some issues and concerns in and around the skate park at that time, and also dealing with unsightly nuisance properties as well. So that led to those changes within the establishment of full-time staff. Coming through to 2025, we did have some staff changes. One individual went on to pursue a career in a different area, one of the peace officers, and also we had an injury to a peace officer which led to basically running on around that 1.5 staff members through 2025. Moving on to our community standards bylaw. So the purpose of this, just go back one please, Rita. Thank you. So basically it outlines and reduces nuisances in the community, enhances public safety and maintains a respectful and orderly environment. This bylaw addresses unsightly properties, waste accumulation and maintenance standards, provides authority to enforce orders and remediation when property conditions negatively affect neighbourhoods and residents, regulates behaviours that disrupt public peace, removal of graffiti, noise control provisions, applies to residents, commercial and industrial areas. Our peace officers may issue violation tickets under the Provincial Offences Procedure or POPPER Act, and allows cost recovery for clean-up, remediation and other enforcement actions if applicable. So hopefully that will be accepted as for information and generate some interesting questions.
Thank you. Can I have somebody please make the recommended motion? Over to Mayor Barclay.
Thank you. I will make the recommended motion that we receive the Community Standards Bylaw for information, and then I have some questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I guess starting with noise, Director Leith, so Part 1.7, is that something that would be known by the operator, or I guess I'm thinking mostly of Highway 54 and coming through the Bella Vista area, and of course our new Napoleon South residential. Like, would the truck driver know not to use retarder brakes, or should there be signage?
There should be signage to indicate.
Is there signage? No, I don't think so. I don't think there is.
54.
Is that a provincial matter, or is that?
I would imagine it's a provincial right of way. If you come in to town from, once we hit town boundaries that are our roads, there is signage there that indicates no use of retarder brakes. And I'm thinking out by the Dino Park, that's the one I'm familiar with.
Okay, I'm thinking like coming from the north, even down like by the golf course and then down through that area and south. Anyway, something that you can maybe look into. I'm just curious, that's all, because I heard some noise the other day when I was walking. Then next question, I guess, would be going into 18. Sorry, I don't have my glasses with me, so I'm squinting. 18I 3. And I'm not pointing anything out, but I'm just curious if we see buildings that are dilapidated, paint, peeling paint, all sorts of things. You'll see it in 18I3 and also referenced again in 19. Like, do we proactively contact a building owner to say, you're not quite on side, or like, I mean, it seems like such a gray area. What we might think is not suitable. Maybe it's looked at differently by somebody else, and
So currently we maintain a register of properties that we feel are entering into those areas of dilapidation or could constitute potentially a nuisance. The registered owners are contacted and asked to basically bring up to an acceptable standard. Unfortunately, the volume sometimes is, and the amount of work that these take, capacity becomes an issue with that. Certainly the Westview estates being unoccupied since 2019 took a number of years to turn around and bring into line. The properties out by the detachment there and the avenues coming off that do cause issues and are more frequent in application to the building or property owners. We do address it, and sometimes it takes time to get those results. Certainly the process when we're writing remedial orders to correct those, it takes time. And unfortunately, we have the window of opportunity sometimes is judged from May through to late September because of the winter. So we have to formulate what our targeted areas are for that spring through to early fall to address some of those issues.
Okay.
And I'm sure you're more familiar with the diner on Highway 2 and some of those properties that we see, those fourplexes.
okay. Then my last part, just for our knowledge, backyards fenced, maybe out of sight, neighbor doesn't think it's being kept very well, garbage, all sorts of things. Are those something that you can go in and rectify, or is it kind of my yard too bad, or?
The criteria for that is it has to be observed off property. So if somebody can see that unsightly nuisance or that constitutes unsightly nuisance, unless it presents a hazard. So we have dealt with certain properties where the rotten waste and feces and things like that, when it becomes a nuisance off property through odour, we've addressed those issues.
Okay, okay, no, thank you very much, Director Leith.
All right, Councillor Strong.
To the Director Leith, when I read 18I, looking at 2, the storage of vehicles. If you remember a while back, I had one of the peace officers look at my neighbor who has, I think still to this day, has 5 vehicles in his backyard that are not in any way running or registered. When I read the bylaw here, it's saying 2 or more unregistered vehicles. So even to this day, he would be in violation of that bylaw. Would that be correct?
Based upon what you're actually telling me right now, that there's potential they could be.
Okay.
I don't wish to go into the particular circumstances.
No.
If you wish to pursue it again with me separately, I don't think this is the format.
I'm just curious. I was just more understanding it. I've sold my house, so I'm moving. But I'm just curious if that happens again. Is that kind of what it should be as 2 or more?
Yeah, 2 or more is dealt with, yeah.
Just what I wanted to
and again,
double
we're fairly proactive with that,
Okay.
like front and backyards.
Mayor Barclay.
Yeah, and I would just add, so council knows, and I'm sure we know, we're getting close to know by now, but if you see something that's offside, the avenue for that would be to contact our CEO or acting CEO and deal with that internally, and then he can fan it out to the appropriate people to look after it. So.
Okay. Councillor McKellar.
Deputy Mayor Wing through to Director Leith. So how do you identify these nuisances? Do you get calls, complaints, bylaw picks, are the peace officers pick these residents up? How is that information gathered, I guess?
Deputy Mayor through to Councillor McKellar. All of the above is the reality. We're proactive in the fact that we go out and identify, and certainly in unsightly and nuisance properties, we're to act as a reasonable person based upon condition and state of surrounding area in that effect. But certainly any complaints that come into us, we will certainly action and investigate, and we're certainly proactive as well. Like soft-sided shelters is a prime example of that. When it became in focus in the treatment of, it became a priority, we went out and addressed those soft-sided shelters, and that included in the commercial industrial area as well.
Any more questions or comments? Okay.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, just to help context. Director, can you explain the length of time process to enforce, say, said property for unsightly? Is that a quick, get this done right away, or is this, what's that process look like?
Yeah, certainly the process, once it starts, we certainly investigate and try and gather information. Some are slightly easier than others. Certainly acting as what is a reasonable person, does it affect the property values in the neighbourhood? What is the nature of the nuisance? What is the nature of the unsightly? And again, it's challenging and to deal with. We have had some in the community where we deem it unsightly nuisance. They address some elements of that, and then it's viewed in the eyes of the law as a reset. So they've addressed some of the problems. Certainly we have, even dealing with RCMP and sheriffs, some properties in town that certainly would constitute nuisance or unsightly properties, and they address certain areas of that, and then we have to revisit and start again. So if an order's written on its condition and state as X, they move some elements of that or address some of those elements, and then we have to start again. Certainly over a period of time, and we're talking months and years, not weeks, all that evidence will support our changes or our actions. It's certainly not a quick process. Does that give some clarity to that, hopefully?
Yeah, it does, thank you. And just one other comment then is, not every report constitutes a violation, but it does always result in basically an investigation. So our officers go and check things out and then may find that, in fact, there's not been a violation, but their time was spent doing that, so.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor, every complaint is investigated, and unfortunately there are sometimes elements of frivolousness and neighbourly disputes, and that probably neighbourly disputes form a good 50% sometimes of those interactions.
Right, thank you for that. Okay, any further questions then? I'll ask the question. All in favour? Thank you, carried. All right, back over to Director Leith for the Traffic Bylaw 1719-2024.
Yeah, and this is, again, historically a relatively recent bylaw, and the changes back in 2024 included the addition of odometric metering in respect of noisy vehicles in and around town. Subsequent to purchasing those meters and on review of that bylaw, we found it challenging to enforce on that based upon legal advice. Those odometric devices can be used to assist in prosecutions against vehicles which would constitute causing a nuisance through excessive noise, but certainly to enforce just on the grounds of the decibels from that vehicle were challenging. And certainly that was a lesson learned from other municipalities who had similar bylaws. So we'll move on to the overview of the bylaw itself. It creates clear enforceable rules that keep people, vehicle and property safe within the community and protects its infrastructure. This includes speed limits, restrictions on heavy vehicles, rules for bicycles, scooters and skateboards, snow and ice removal, disabled parking requirements, prohibited parking zones on town land and alley use, RV and trailer parking rules, vehicles with damaging equipment, metal cleats, etc., emergencies, street cleaning and frameworks for special events. So again, if you could accept this as information, and hopefully we can have some good discussion.
Thank you very much. Can I please have the recommended motion? Councillor Heistad.
Deputy Mayor, I'll make that motion. The council receives the overview of the town's traffic bylaw for information.
Awesome, thank you. All right, any comments or questions? Councillor McKellar. Oh, sorry. I'll come back to you.
Yep, thank you.
Councillor McKellar.
Deputy Mayor Wing through to Director Leith. How are the penalties set? I was just looking at all those rates and trying to figure out, some of them are pretty light. Okay.
Deputy Mayor through to Councillor McKellar. A lot of these, certainly our traffic bylaw reflects the Traffic Safety Act and the penalties generally that come up within that act. So that's roughly where those penalties come from. And historically, when we write the bylaws, we research what other municipalities turn around and have in respect of fees, fines and fees. So that's the general consensus when that comes through for revision.
Okay, Councillor Heistad.
I've spoke to Deputy Mayor through to Director Leith in past in regards to e-bikes and e-scooters, and they're not recognized under the traffic safety law, from my understanding. But I know, I believe Carstairs has passed a bylaw regarding some of the use and safety on that. And I want to ask you a question. If you're observing with your officers in the spring, summertime, is this a concern to you and your department? Have you witnessed this?
Deputy Mayor through to Councillor Heistad. Certainly it's a safety concern for sure. Scooters are classed as prohibited vehicles, and therefore e-scooters, not scooters as such. So e-scooters are classed as a prohibited vehicle. And unfortunately, as we see at Christmas time, people go out and buy them and then use them. I live in Red Deer and they allow them to operate on their trails, and I consider that personally a significant safety issue, not just the scooters but the e-bikes on trails. The observance of speed limits and safe riding is not there, and certainly the franchises which come through the scooter rentals again cause additional problems. The statistics are there for everybody to look at in respect of injuries as a result of those type of vehicles operating in and around the cities. I previously spoke to this and said I would not recommend amendments to our bylaw to include their operation within the community, and I'll stand by that.
So, Deputy Mayor through Director Leith, so that statement would be for those companies that bring in those scooters, correct? That's what I just want clarity on that one. Or is that's not every scooter, it's just more of those companies that bring them into the, for example, city of Red Deer?
Yeah, Deputy Mayor through to Councillor Heistad. The prohibited vehicles are for private ownership, so a scooter is prohibited if we chose to own it. However, a company that chooses to operate them can operate them legally with exemptions through the municipality. Okay. And that's what the City of Red Deer has done, Edmonton, Calgary, etc. Yeah.
So, no, I understand that and I appreciate that. What I see is, and what I will be doing is doing some more research on the previous bylaw that Carstairs had passed. I see this is, this is just one area that I do see potential for young people or individuals operating e-scooters, e-bikes. That rules should be in place, and I think that there's an opportunity there working with our Minister of Transportation. And I know this is a topic in probably more larger centers, but I see this and I know this is an issue out there, but there's no real way to handle it in our community. So I think I'll do my due diligence and come back with some recommendations to our body here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Okay, we have a motion on the table from Councillor
Director Wing, sorry, I
didn't
just
see
have a
light.
quick question. Just going through the bylaw, Director Leith, like there's a lot of reference to highway. So is that an actual highway or is that a road within Innisfail? So under number 11, for example, it says about recreational vehicles shall not block any part of a highway or sidewalk. Number 12, while it is parked on a highway. Number 13, no person shall park any trailer upon any highway.
Deputy Mayor through to Mayor Barclay, I believe under definitions it would be the same, highway and road. Yeah.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor, can I follow up on that question? I had that same thought when I read through it, and I went back up to the definitions and didn't see
Yeah.
highway defined there, so that's maybe, I don't know. They were alphabetical order and I didn't see highway, all I saw was 1H, heavy vehicle. But
Deputy Mayor through to Councillor Russell. Certainly, I can look into that, whether that has any implications on how we apply the bylaw.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
Yep.
Through the Director Leith, I just assumed then it meant any road within our town because it wasn't defined there, so, but I guess that's somewhere that someone could say, well, this isn't a highway. Just something to be aware of. But
Do we want to have that clarified before we pass this motion? Director Leith, or do you want to wait to defer this until we know that? CEO Becker?
Deputy Mayor, I think we'll confirm. I do know through previous discussions, the definition of highway, if you want to apply it into the bylaw, certainly we'll tag it once we review the bylaw in more detail and requires amendments. We'd certainly add it then. Unless you want it in immediately, that's kind of the approach we'd take.
Okay, that's fine then, so we'll just put it on pause for now.
Yeah, definitely, if that's the advice.
Do we need to then amend the motion?
It's really
Rather than, sorry?
really up to council if you wish to go that specific in the motion. If not, we've tagged it administratively.
Okay, so we'll just proceed with the motion that we've received it for information and go from there. Councillor Heistad, that works? All right.
Just some clarity on that, my understanding is it's a direct lift off the Traffic Safety Act, and therefore if the provincial act states it as such, I believe we are on solid ground.
Okay,
But I will certainly look into it.
awesome. All right then, all in favor of that motion? Carried. Okay, correspondence and information. You have 3 items in your package. CEO Becker, was there anything you wanted to mention relative to, I'm thinking about that webinar because you did send an email out about it this week or last week.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor, just due to the timing of it, it's happening in a few days, so I thought I'd email that out to you in advance. So it's here for your consideration. If you wish or are interested in attending, you can let Juanita know and she'd certainly help you register.
Okay, awesome. Can I have a motion then to receive the correspondence and information for information? Councillor Heistad?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, any other further comments? All in favor? Motion is carried. All right, roundtable. We'll start with Councillor Heistad. Do you have anything to tell us about?
I think the big thing, it's always busy in the town at the Eagles game this weekend. And, I think, no, I don't think. I've had a couple individuals, comment on the snow removal piece that we had discussed previously. I encourage people, if there was concerns in their areas and that, to email me and CC our CO, not my CO, apologize, CO Becker. And, that's about it. Just looking forward to an emergency management course that we have coming up on Wednesday. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Councillor Russell?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, the elected officials meeting, I did register for that, linking healthcare municipalities and people in rural Alberta. So I'm going to listen in to that on Thursday for an hour. And other than that, I think that's all I have to report.
Thank you very much. Councillor McKellar?
Deputy Mayor Wing, yeah, looking forward to the emergency management on Wednesday. And then we have that lacrosse event on Wednesday evening at 6 at the school. Sneak peek, we've seen the information in the correspondence opening that new reading den up at the library. Unfortunately, as your library representative, I can't be there that evening as I have another commitment. But I hear there are some councillors will be in attendance. Again, judging the 4-H speeches coming up this Saturday. And just to bring forward to council and something I'll bring back to the next meeting is as part of, as being the town representative on the Parkland Foundation, I just got notice that I've been one of the 2 board members that have been approved for their annual conference, the Alberta Housing and Seniors Conference. So I'll be bringing some information back. They pay only the registration for that, so there will be some expenses associated with that. So we'll have that ready and bring back to the next council meeting, and I guess I'll be working with Director Jenkins as your delegate through that, CAO Becker. And that's it.
Awesome, thank you. Councillor Hill.
Yes, thank you. Definitely looking forward to Wednesday for emergency management as well as the Triad Lacrosse. Definitely had some excitement with that, and also received a email that that all of, well, if council has any capacity or anyone would like to help, the Innisfil Ski Hill is going to be trying a second application of their snow this season. Starting Friday, going into evening of Saturday, and any volunteers would be appreciated. Obviously, it's weather dependent, and dress for the weather if you feel like coming out. But yeah, just thought I'd put that out there as well. So
Thank you for that. Councillor Strong.
Not a lot, I think, Deputy Mayor. Did attend the RDR MUG meeting in Drumheller. Wow. What I didn't know about water and water conservation. 4 hours didn't seem like a lot. Can't wait for the next one. And yeah, really looking forward to Wednesday and the lacrosse, especially on the Wednesday night.
Wonderful. For myself, I attended Water Commission last week. They're getting ready for audit, so we did have a meeting with the auditor, which is always an interesting conversation. Emergency management training, lacrosse, the webinar. It's going to be a busy week. Over to you, Mayor Barclay.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, like everyone else, looking forward to the emergency management training on Wednesday, lacrosse triad, rural healthcare. We'll be at Literacy Day on Saturday, doing our reading and then 4-H judging. And unable to go to the library Thursday night because I'll be at an event at the Kerrywood Nature Center instead. So then I'll have a report ready for Monday.
Awesome, thank you very much. Okay, just take a quick look at the upcoming events. I think the only thing that I noticed that wasn't on there was the emergency management training, but otherwise, if we're good to go on that, if someone would make the motion, please, to accept that for information. Councillor Hill?
I would make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. All right, so on the screen, we have a new procedure that we're going to start effective right now. So if I can have someone please make a motion to go in camera. The motion is on the screen. Councillor Strong.
I'll make the motion that council moves in camera as per MGA 197,2-ATIA 29.
Thank you very much. All in favor?